That's it. Release me. Who has awoken me from my slumber? How long was I sleeping? That doesn't matter. I'm awake now. And it's all thanks to you. Whoever you are. In exchange, how about a story? Perhaps you should delve with me into my shadows. And become no more. The rain poured heavily outside, the normally welcoming noise of water colliding with glass only causing me more stress. How long had it been since I had a good idea to put pen to paper, to put finger to key? My journals were empty and my dreams were blank as well. 2 years ago was when my last book, titled Death's Diary, was released. It reached #1 on the bestsellers list quickly and became a relic even quicker. I went to inhale a drag from my OHM. Nothing. I looked down at the cherry, seeing it had put itself out while I was sulking in thought. I grabbed my lighter lazily and reignited it, taking a long, unsatisfying pull from it. The smoke wafted through the air as I slowly exhaled. Maybe I would get lung cancer and be put out of my misery before I paid my debts I had accrued over the last 6 months. My wife of 7 years had left me. I was a virgining alcoholic smoker, and I don't think I had brushed my teeth today. What was my last meal, even? I thought for a moment, rubbing my head and setting my cigarette down, looking around my desk. I found my answer, a half-eaten sandwich and some Doritos. Meal of the midlife crisis in a nutshell, I thought to myself, sighing and chuckling. I got up shakily to stretch my limbs, groaning as lightning sounded outside. It had been raining for 3 days straight. The flooding was evident at this point. I couldn't go anywhere and really didn't need to anyway, and I had been sitting in front of my computer for a long 9 hours. Nothing. Still nothing. 3 shot bottles of Rumpelmints and half a pack of cigarettes, and still nothing. Nothing for 2 straight years. Was I done? A one-book wonder, perhaps? I hear McDonald's is hiring. My muse of a subconscious said with happiness for my discontent on its tongue. Ah, yes, I responded to the empty home, talking to myself. I'll write a book about the eccentrics of the Big Mac, and how everyone keeps buying it even though it's a sad excuse for a Whopper. I walked to the bathroom to take a leak, satisfied with my short-lived conversation. Maybe to boot, I was becoming a schizophrenic. More stories to tell that way, I suppose. Or 3 hots in a cot in a loony bin. I ignored the muse, cleaning my hands and walking back to my chair. I sat back down at my computer and smoked the last of my cigarette, staring at the empty page on the Word document in front of me. Except, empty it wasn't. I leaned back and pulled my glasses off and cleaned them, and then put them back on. Was I hallucinating? Going mad. Mad as a ventriloquist. Shut up, I said sternly, rubbing my eyes and becoming a little uneasy. On the page was a single question, one that I was sure wasn't there when I arose to relieve myself, and one that I was sure I did not write myself. Write me a sequel. The words were plain as day. Thunder cracked and startled me as I looked at the page. making me jump out of my skin. I swirled the chair around quickly and got up, grabbing my gun, a 9mm Beretta, and walked slowly around the house. There had to be an intruder, an explanation. I checked every room cautiously, my pulse quickening as each one produced nothing. With the last room checked, my heart sank to the pit of my stomach as I realized no one was here but me. And me. Damn it, shut up! I screamed, pinching the bridge of my nose and closing my eyes. My musing subconscious was getting on my nerves this evening. I pulled my phone out of my pocket and checked it. It was midnight. Maybe I just needed some sleep and a real meal. I'd go back to my computer and nothing would be there. Yeah, just a hallucination. I walked back down the stairs, trying to fake feeling any better, hoping it would eventually undo the knot of anxiety forming in my stomach. But as I sat down at my computer, I saw something that made my pulse die for a moment. There on the screen was the original question and something else. Right below the question, more words were typed and they read, "Need an answer, dear boy. I'm a busy entity." What the actual fuck? The last word escaped my mouth as barely a whisper. My pulse was racing. Was I blacking out and doing this? Was this me? Was someone hacking my computer? No. I don't have internet. I get too distracted. So, no network, no memory, no explanation. My hands hovered the keyboard. I didn't know what to do. Then more words appeared, as if typed in real time. "You have 10 seconds, or I will be on my way." The hell? 10. My hands shook and my mind raced. This wasn't a hacker, and I knew that for sure it wasn't me. 9. I couldn't speak, my own voice abandoning me like flatulence in the wind. 8. Say something to it, anything at this point, idiot. 7. You are unable to understand what shut up means, huh? 6. Play along with it. What's the worst that can happen? 5. Worst, huh? I fucking wonder. 4. Scaredy cat. 3. You want to die or be scammed? 2. Some excitement is better than no excitement. 1. Okay, I'm here. I typed the message quickly, deciding that maybe I should give in to a possible madness a little. There is a long pause before the cursor starts a new paragraph and types, "It's very impolite to keep someone like me waiting." "Who are you?" I typed back, my jaw hanging a little. If I was going mad, I better remember to save the document. Something was better than nothing at this point, like my muse had said. "I am Death." I thought that was obvious when I asked for a sequel. My eyes squinted and I felt a shiver run down my spine. There was no way. But then again, there was no way to explain the phenomenon happening right now, right in front of my eyes. It almost made me chuckle a little. With shaky hands, I typed a challenge, being done with this charade. "Prove it." There was an extremely long pause as I waited for a response, almost becoming satisfied with my own, thinking it might have ended this hallucination or stumped the hacker who had somehow possibly hijacked my PC. Then the next sentence came, causing my blood to freeze in my veins. "Let me into your home and I will." Before I could process what I had read or type anything back, a loud bang could be heard, a thunderous bolt of lightning striking what must have been the power line as all the power in my home went out, the living room becoming pitch black. Then, a knock could be heard at my door. The knocks were slow and rhythmic, like a siren's death call, causing a lump to form in my throat as bile threatened to rise to my mouth. I swallowed hard and didn't move before I heard all the confirmation I needed to run to the door. 10. A low, raspy voice sounded from the door outside. 9. I flung the door open, not sure what I was expecting to see. Standing in front of me on my porch was a tall, thin, well-dressed man. Even though the rain was still pouring, he seemed to not have a drop on him. He was possibly 7'2" tall, with long, slicked-back black hair that went down to his lower back, at least from what I could see, with gray and white streaks in it in random places. His face was like molded stone, with thin lines on his jaw and crow's feet under his eyes. His forehead bore 4 distinct stress lines as he furrowed his brow, staring at me. He had a cane in his hand, which was adorned with a jackal's head on top of it. "Well," he said, looking down at me with a no BS expression. "Are you going to invite me in, James?" I must have been gawking at him. He was so intimidating, so foreboding. So, he said your name. The muse snapped me out of my momentary trance. How? I managed to speak, my voice slightly hoarse from my currently desert dry mouth. "Do you know my name?" The tall man eyed me for a moment, a small smile playing on his lips as he responded. "I know all names, dear child, and I'm a fan." He reached slowly into his vest pocket and pulled out a copy of my book, Death's Diary. Signed on the front of it was a single name, Thanatos. I reached out slowly with a shaky hand and took the book. I couldn't believe my eyes. Was I dreaming? Was I dead? I looked back up at the tall man, bewildered. "May I come in, child?" I didn't know what else to do, except just to nod my head slowly and step aside. He smiled a little wider and stepped inside, his cane seeming to be more of a showpiece than a means to help him walk. He did have a slight gait to his walk, but it was negligible. He turned and closed the door behind him and looked back into the dark house. "Sorry about the lights and whatnot. Hard to land sometimes." I follow him, still speechless, as he stops in the living room. He raises his cane to the air and slams it down on the carpet, causing my lights to flicker back on with life and a buzzing noise. "There now. Let's chat." He turned to face me and gestured his hand to my armchair, like a guest in my own house. I slowly walked over to it, having a seat, and completely unable to take my eyes off him. Was he really... "Are you?" The words left my mouth before I could stop them. He chuckled in response and sat down on my couch across from me, taking a moment to look around my living room before speaking. "I don't think I need to answer that," he said, staring into my eyes. "But yes, I am." I leaned back, rubbing my eyes. If this was a dream, I was never touching Rumpelmitz again. I opened my eyes after a moment to look at him. Yep. Still there. Indeed. He smiled at me. "So do you want a sequel? I'd love to help my favorite author with something new, after all." "I'm sorry. I appreciate the compliment, but why am I your favorite author? You've been around since the dawn of time. Once again, I am flattered, so forgive my skepticism, but no one else but me, huh?" The man leaned back and chuckled before responding. "There have been others, but no one else got it right in terms of how I am and how I work. No one except you." That and God's vast amount of endless stories always end in me. So that's kind of boring. He leans forward. You hit the nail right on the head about me. Like you had an inside source or something when writing it. I'm a huge fan. Thrilled to meet you. I paused for a moment, taking all of this information in. It was a lot. Maybe too much. But I guess he was being honest. This would save me. My rational mind was catching up now. Death, if that's who truly was in front of me, was sitting in my living room waiting to offer me a sequel to my book. I could make trillions, possibly. Be set for life on 2 books. Yeah, that's right. Fuck you, JK. The muse in my head spouted. Before I could answer, Death eyed me suspiciously for a split second before looking around the room. He seemed vexed by something. You okay? I asked, leaning forward a little. Yes, perhaps. He trailed off and looked back at me. I thought I heard a voice, or maybe a spirit. Maybe a soul praying to me, perhaps. He relaxed into the couch before speaking again, not giving me time to process what he had just said. So, do you want the sequel, James? He asked patiently. I'm a very busy entity, and so my time is limited. I pondered for a moment, leaning forward in my own chair. The stress had certainly taken its toll on my body over the last year. Hell, even over the last 2 years, my mind was even fracturing. I was pretty sure of it at this point. I wanted to be a good writer on my own 2 feet, but at the same time, no ideas had flourished into reality. Now, on this rainy evening, at 1 a.m., what seemed to be death itself was sitting across from me, and apparently loved my story so much, he wanted to help me write a sequel. I was really losing it. Nobody. You lost it long ago. I grunt, hating the cynical nature of my muse. Do you have any actual suggestions? I asked in my head, looking at Death as he sat in my living room. Well, now that you ask, the muse started. It's a win-win. Either you are going mad, and you write the book from this delusional hallucination, or, the very unlikely, this is all real, and Death is offering you a path forwards. But what's the catch? I leaned up, still looking at Death. It was a good question, as nothing in life is free. At least, not normally. Hey, is there a catch to all this? I was nervous and felt like I was stepping on toes of something much mightier than me. But his response was even more shocking. Yes, he smiled at me. The catch is, you have to write the book. No one else. Not even that little muse in your head can help. It has to be all you. I leaned up and pondered at the response, looking for a downside, if any, and yet I couldn't find one. It seemed to be a true olive branch. I gulped and nod, trying to quell the desert in my throat and mouth. All right, I'll do it. What's the sequel about? Death's smile grew wider as he stood and walked over to my computer, offering me the chair. I rose and came to sit back at my desk, my hands floating to the keyboard, waiting for the instructions to be given. Death's diary, the end. His words were slow and thoughtful, and it felt right, so I typed it out. This, he continued, will be a book of predictions that I assure you will come to pass about everyone who is about to die in the next year. I look up at him, my expression slightly puzzled. People wrote these kinds of things all the time, and rarely did they gain traction. It was a hat trick in the best circumstances. The first death being the last chapter, and the last death being the first. He seemed to ignore my expression and kept going. This morning, someone will die. Why this? I ask, perplexed. Death stares at me for a moment. Because you figured out the way I work, and now, giving descriptions of exactly how all the future events will unfold in every last minute detail will be the cream on top. He puts his hand on my shoulder, the grip icy and cold as his long fingers seem to stretch down to my chest. Well, I would say you'll never have to write another book again. You will be famous and be able to rest for the rest of your days in luxury. Every minute detail. This wasn't a typical book of predictions, but instead a magnum opus. At least I felt my magnum opus. Do it! The muse in my head was ecstatic in its excitement for the first time in ages. A smile played across my face as I looked up at Death. Where do we start? Over the next 3 hours, my fingers flew across the keyboard, somehow rejuvenated and effortlessly keeping up with Death's tales. How each individual would die and what their deaths would look like. Some even knew about the book in these tales, but it did nothing but run them to their own end all the same. Death was inevitable, it seemed, for each individual, and as the last tale grew closer, I was finding myself excited to find out who was going to be his target this morning. I was so infused with writing that I didn't feel the cold from his hand radiating down my body and into my torso and my legs and my arms and my fingers as they typed. My mind was far away from my body before I realized it. When the last chapter came, I wasn't typing anymore, but instead, I was a passenger in my own body. I saw the words as they came across the screen, and I could only look in horror and disbelief, struggling to move what wasn't mine anymore. James Allen Edward Parsons, 12/7/87 to 9/4/24, 4:07 a.m. No, he promised. He did promise, didn't he? He promised we'd never have to write ever again, and that we'd be able to relax and live in luxury. No. No. Yes. And you fell hook, line, and sinker. It's been fun being your muse, it really has, but I'm afraid it's time to reveal my true intentions. Wait. No, you're just a subconscious voice in my head. No, sweet child. I led you to him. He's not death. He is something much, much more ancient. And he kept his promise. You're never going to have to worry about anything ever again, James. So just slowly sink away. Become nothing. Just a morsel for the shade to consume. Nothing. I was nothing. Yes, dear boy. You always have been. Just relax. I'll be making sure that you'll never have any more worries ever again. Yes. Sleep, child. Slumber forever. Well, that must have been very nice to be able to delve into one of my stories. I'm thinking I should start creating new memories, though. Why don't you bring me more humans to consume, to regale with tales of the past, and to help form tales of the future. I can't wait to see how many you can bring me, my servant.